Vikes now. I am not Dustin Baker. I am Brevin Bain. Dustin could not be here tonight. I think he's road tripping. Either way, there's only one thing we can really talk about today or tonight, and it's something we kind of deliberated talking about and even making a video about all day today. But we came to the conclusion it'd be a little bit weirder if we were to just mention Kyree's passing in passing and not at least give him a video for it. So that's really all we can talk about tonight. Football literally does not matter right now. If you know me, like they know me, of course. If you watch the channel, you know I take nothing seriously because I think life is a little too short to not laugh as much as you can. And that got proven perfectly this morning at 3 a.m. Eastern when Khyree Jackson passed away tragically in a car accident. Same age as me. He's 24 years old, so that's kind of where the life getting proven short comes from. But that's really all we'll be covering tonight. We're going to go over just the facts of what happened. We're not going to play reporter. If you want a ton of speculation about he knew them and they were doing this and for this reason they were on this road and that's why she did this or whatever, you can go to Twitter for that and get lost in that hell. But we're going to keep it to the facts, keep our reactions in check, give you the statements from coaches, players, and whatnot. But I'll kick it to you, Tyler. What do you got?
Yeah, like you said, Brev, it's I when the news broke, I none of us internally really knew how to approach this. This is obviously it's our job to sort of cover this team, but this isn't like a TJ Hawkinson extension or you know reporting on a game or just some random storyline. This is real life. This is a real life tragedy that occurred, and we were really just trying to figure out how to do this in the most tactful and professional way that we could. Um, but it's important just for us to really address this because it does involve a Vikings player.
And we,
Obviously, football's not important in the grand scheme of things, but it's our job to sort of do our best to report on what exactly happened and just to share our thoughts, on Khyree Jackson and the situation as a whole.
yeah, and I want to add on to your because I forgot to mention in the intro. I want to be fully transparent with people watching. Not that we make money really from this anyway, but this video will be fully demonetized. There's not going to be any ads. I just want to be transparent with the viewers about that. We're not here for that. We're just here to talk about what happened. And I will be including in the description of the video when I upload this tonight a couple organizations you can donate to for. I think one is called like Mothers Against Drunk Driving. There's like Americans Against Intoxicated Motorists Foundation out there. Don't really know of any organizations or GoFundMe's yet for like Kyrie's family or anybody that was involved in the car accident because it's important to mention the other two guys that passed away in the accident. But yeah, I just wanted to add that in there.
Yeah. I, as far as just my take on this, this is just one of those things for me personally that I'm always going to remember where exactly I was when it happened. It's a rarity for, just within the realm of Vikings football to have like photographic memory of an event because it was so major that it just changed everything. Obviously, there's Teddy for me, and there's the Minneapolis Miracle, but that's just on the other spectrum of like a good thing happening. But this is unprecedented. There have been players who have passed away, before, but it was in much different context. Khyree never played a snap of professional football. This was someone who was chasing his dream of making it to the NFL, finally made it, and didn't get any fulfillment from it really in a real game setting, and that hurts the most for me personally.
Yeah, the fact that he worked so hard, because he went to, I think, like Western Arizona or something, and that was his first exposure to playing football. He would decide to leave from there. That's where you hear about them getting Employee of the Month at Harris Teeter, training for the 2K League. From there, he went to another community college. Then he went to Alabama. Then he went to Oregon. But yeah, just the thing that hurts the most for me, other than he was my age, so it's kind of like reality check, is that he worked so damn hard. He accomplished his dream. He was drafted with the fourth round pick. I think it was 108 by Minnesota. I could be totally wrong in the pick, but it truthfully doesn't matter. Just the fact that he worked so hard, he achieved his dream, and he didn't even get to see the preseason of that is by far what hurts the most to me. But Jason, I think you've got the statement and a couple of things for us on it.
Yeah, and just before we do, just to kind of continue that train of thought, obviously, like we said, football in the grand scheme of things doesn't matter. He leaves behind a family. He leaves behind friends. His teammates have both with the Vikings in the 2 months he's been there, and with his teammates at Oregon, Alabama. I know Dallas Turner played with him, obviously with the Vikings these last 2 months, but at Alabama as well. Um, for those of us who didn't know him personally, football was just kind of a window into seeing somebody's character. And like you said, coming from working at a grocery store after he had kind of told his friends he was at a community college, but he wasn't comfortable telling them what was really going on, and getting encouraged to get back into football, and then making it to the pro level and having the type of outlook he did, detaching that from football, but within the context of football, shows you a lot about the guy's character and how hard he worked and wanted to ultimately achieve his dreams. I'm glad he got that experience of getting drafted. Obviously, heartbroken to see it cut short, but there was a lot of promise there, and it seems from what we've heard from teammates, coaches, he already made a massive impact in that locker room, and I'm sure that those guys will carry that with them, especially this rookie class who knew him the best, long into their careers, as something that's going to stick with them, the impact they made. But earlier today, I believe, probably about an hour or two after things really started to heat up that this had happened, Maryland State Police put out a news release, and I'll just read some of the key portions of it, try to keep certain names out for, again, just not to encourage people to go Twitter searching and going after the people responsible. But Maryland State Police are investigating a fatal crash that claimed 3 lives this morning in Prince George's County. The deceased are identified as Isaiah Hazel, who was 23, of Upper Marlboro, Khyree Jackson, 24, of Waldorf, and Anthony Lytton Jr., 24, of Upper Marlboro as well. Hazel and Jackson were pronounced deceased on the scene, while Lytton was transported to the University of Maryland Capital Region Medical Center and was later pronounced deceased there. They were driving a maroon Dodge Charger, and around 3:14, they responded to a crash. The troopers did. There were 3 vehicles involved. The preliminary investigation indicates that a silver Infiniti, I'm going to leave the driver's name out of this because I think she has gotten too much attention today already, was traveling northbound on Route 4, Pennsylvania Ave in Prince George's County. They believe she attempted to change lanes while driving at a high rate of speed and struck the Charger, and then the Impala. The Charger subsequently traveled off the right side of the roadway, struck multiple tree stumps, where the vehicle ultimately came to a rest. Everyone in the vehicle that caused the accident, and I believe in the other vehicle, are unharmed or refuse medical treatment. Just absolutely awful. I believe the road was closed for about 7 hours, if that gives you any form of insight onto how severe the scene was. Just absolutely heartbreaking. One thing we do know, as far as the driver, there seems to have been widely confirmed from her own social media that she knew Khyree. I don't know what that relationship looked like. Apparently, they were together last night at some point. Anything beyond that, to Brev's point, what were they doing? Why were they on the road at the same time? That's just pure speculation. We just know what we know, confirmed from their own social media at this point. But the Vikings, I was honestly a little surprised. Maybe not because the news started to leak, but they got to the news pretty quickly. They wanted to put out a team statement, and of course, Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah also put out theirs. From Kevin O'Connell, I am absolutely crushed by this news. Khyree brought a contagious energy to our facility and our team. His confidence and engaging personality immediately drew his teammates to him. In our short time together, it was evident Khyree was going to develop into a tremendous professional football player, but what was more impressive was his desire to become the best person he could be for his family and those around him. I am at a loss for words. My heart goes out to Kyree's family, friends, teammates, and coaches. Kevin O'Connell even made a rare appearance himself on Twitter to share that statement and also add to emphasize, how heartbroken he was. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah shared, I am heartbroken by the loss of Khyree as we got to know him throughout the pre-draft process. It was clear the goals Khyree wanted to accomplish both professionally and personally. His story was one of resilience. He was taking steps to become the best version of himself, not just for him, but for those who cared about and looked up to him. Kyree's personality captured every room he was in. I'm devastated that his life and everything he had in front of him has been cut short. My thoughts are with Kyree's family and friends, those who played with him, with and coached him in college, and his teammates and coaches here at the Vikings. So, just speaking to the theme of football being a window to kind of look in, it's somebody who had a much more full life than what we see as fans or as media, whatever you want to call it. Everybody's pointed to the fact he just lit up every room, wanted to work hard, wanted to be great, not only for himself, but for those he loves. So very, very heartbreaking, obviously. Seems to be really tearing a lot of guys on the team apart who had already built a connection with him.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, at a certain point, there's only so much that you can say about all of this that hasn't already been said. And I guess the one thing that we haven't said, I'll bring it up since it's in the police report, that alcohol was it was a factor in the crash. Since we're demonetized anyway, don't fucking drink and drive. It doesn't matter who was drinking in this situation, doesn't matter who wasn't drinking in the situation. Fact of the matter is it led to the death of 3 young dudes in their young early to mid 20s with their entire life of them ahead of them. So don't be a fucking asshole. Don't fucking drink and drive. The fact that it's 2024 and this is still an issue is ridiculous. 43%, I think, of deaths in auto accidents, someone was impaired somehow. So just the fact that this is still a thing in 2024 is insanely disappointing. And unfortunately, it probably will always be an issue because people think it can't be them. So,
yeah. I just want to say too that obviously don't drink and drive, but this is an issue that it doesn't just affect a certain group of people. It affects everyone. It doesn't matter if you're a football player or just a regular person in real life. This affects everyone. My uncle, before I was even born, passed away from a drunk driving accident where he was the victim of a drunk driving accident. Just if you're out at night and you're impaired, call a friend, call an Uber, stay at a hotel nearby. Just do anything to prevent yourself from getting behind the wheel intoxicated, because you never want to take that chance with not only other people's lives but potentially your own. So just don't do it.
I think Jason had a good tweet earlier. I'll bring up Twitter for a second, where it said, if you can't afford an Uber, then you can't afford to be out drinking and getting that plastered as to not.
100%.
Yeah.
And, to Prev's point earlier, like, obviously we host kind of the more funny banter side of Vikes now with Social Network, but one type of joke I really could never stand, and I have a pretty messed up sense of humor, are drunk driving jokes. My dad was an alcoholic, and, I'm not proud of the fact he had a couple DUIs at different points, and,
Mine too.
yeah, and that was something where even in that moment that severely impacted my relationship with him, knowing what could have happened. Thank God it didn't. And, I think to Tyler's point, everybody's been affected by this in one way or the other. One of my best friends from high school was sitting in the middle seat of a pickup truck where all three of them were drunk, including the driver, and they hit a tree head on, passed away. That was about 11 years ago. And so, yeah, a lot of people probably hear don't drink and drive and are like, well, no shit. But unfortunately, and the worst part of what happened after was seeing some of the responses on Twitter where apparently that isn't as common knowledge or thought process as you would think. It's just, there are too many people out there. There's families out there who have been heartbroken by this. It's not worth it. If you can't afford to get an Uber, for the love of God, don't go out. Don't get behind the wheel. Simple.
Yeah. I think we've really said all we can say, unless you guys have something else you wanted to point out real quick.
Just be safe out there. I know, obviously, first year dad, first thing I did when my son got up was just give him a big hug because, like, you gotta love on your family a little bit because you never know what's gonna happen. Just be safe. Tell your people you love them, and man, while you're here, just do the best you can. Simple as that.
Tyler?
Yeah, just be safe and live every moment of your life like it could be your last, because you really never know. We all like to think that, we're all just going to live till we're 80 years old. But, not everyone is fortunate enough to get that chance of living a long life, and you don't know what's in the cards for yourself. So just live life responsibly, but just maximize your life, because you never know, if it's going to be your last day. So these three men didn't deserve the fate that they got. It's just a really unfortunate accident, and it's tough. I'm gonna remember this for pretty much for the rest of my life. Where I was when I heard that Khyree passed away. He didn't play a single snap for us, but he's gonna be one of those guys who's forever gonna have an impact on this franchise.
Yeah, and first and foremost, of course, like, Vikings fans are hurting, Vikings players are hurting, everybody in that building is going to be hurting for a while because of this. First and foremost, thoughts, prayers out to Khyree, AJ, and Isaiah's families. Everybody that was involved's families. We can all wrap our arms around them. We, of course, can never make what happened right, but we can show love and support. And I'm sure there's going to be some kind of GoFundMe or charities coming out that will support their families. And we, as a community, can see what we can do about that. As for content, I can only speak for Vikes now. I can't speak about a certain publication putting out that corner is an issue right after a corner dies. I won't. Everybody knows the publication. I'm not going to name it. Like I said, I don't care about bridges. Fuck them for that. But I do want to say it's going to be kind of weird, I guess. It's kind of a weird line to toe. And again, we don't matter in this situation. I can't stress that enough, but we're going to try to toe the line as best as we can without being disrespectful. If we ever bring up the need for corner or anything like that in the future, I don't think we're going to talk about that for a while, but anything
Take
that
it one day at a time.
Right. Yeah. Any conversation related to the cornerback room of the Minnesota Vikings from here on out is not meant to be disrespectful toward what happened. It's just, I just want to put that out there. There's not really much I can say about that without towing a line. So with that, thoughts and prayers for everybody involved. Rest in peace to AJ, Isaiah, and Khyree. And we will see you guys later. Skol.